Welcome to Live and Love Life with Alena Chapman, a show that explores and shares with you how individuals who were once facing unsurmountable obstacles and setbacks have overcome them by using a certain set of tools, techniques, and attitude to help them transform their lives from ordinary into extraordinary. These same tools are shared with you here in this show so you too can lead a life that you love. And now, here's our host, Alena Chapman.
Hello, everyone. I have a spectacular guest for you today, Christel Cowdrey. Christel and I met through a mutual friend, but I have to say, when we first talked, you meet somebody who you just feel is like your soul sister. So many things in common, so many concepts that you both believe, so many things about life. And we just talked. And, I've known her a very short time, but I feel like she's such a good friend. It's just the funniest thing. I'm sure you have those experiences in your life. Well, anyway, I have decided to have her on the show because she's fascinating and she's fun. She is a terrific writer. I'm going to let her tell you more about herself. Here is my new wonderful friend, Christel Cowdrey. And why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, my dear?
Well, thank you, Alena. It's just a privilege and so much fun to talk to you again. And you're a kindred spirit. We're kindred spirits. It's so comfortable to chat with you, and that's so nice. And
It is.
it's not every day. We have a lot in common, don't we? We have our music, we have our writing, we have our children and our challenges and all the good things that we're learning. And we both want to be wide awake. And I suppose a singer and a musician, because I'm Swedish, and in Scandinavia, everybody's encouraged to have a lot of hobbies because of the dark nights.
Oh, yeah.
9 months of the year is in the darkness.
Sure.
So a lot of people are creative, and often, you think about some of the directors and actresses and actors are quite intense. Not that I'm intense, of course, because I've been in England a long time, so I'm an Anglophile. But my mother was a coloratura, so I learned as a singer. I became a mezzo-soprano, and I have two sons who are high tenors. And actually, I think because the only music in my house that was allowed or tolerated by my mother was blues or jazz, I think I left the metered page quite soon as I left home and just took up jazz and just felt it in my bones. And I started to write music as a little girl and then sing on the radio at about 7 or 8 or 9 about the ways of the world, and things that you write about, and they're really connected. And so I began like that. And it was always a real pleasure. And I think actually as an adult, when I speak to people about becoming an entrepreneur, about refinding or finding themselves again, is often what you do as a child that you need to go back and find, because that is something that came so naturally to you. And the reason it's there, the reason the ability is there, it's like the child that we learned about that sits at the piano and is frustrated. They can feel the music in them, but they don't know where to put fingers on the keys. But the desire is there because the outcome is positive. So I think if there's a desire to do something and with me and with you, our writing was really powerful. And music was really powerful. And I always think that if you don't wake a child with music, you sort of leave half of their soul or a part of their soul untapped. And I think it's always wonderful when you see children coming out to families where there's no music and they've manifested this music and they just awaken that part of their spirit. And also my children, I have twin boys who are 22 now, but when they were in a choir, a proper full-blown professional choir at about 7, they looked so sweet. If they breathed at the wrong second in a choir, they were just torn off a strip. And it gave them real discipline in another way. And they really started to listen. And one is now a singer-songwriter, and the other one's a professional cricketer, which their father was. So they've grown up with dreams they both play cricket, but one had a dream of playing cricket professionally and sings and writes the lyrics for the other one whose music is his dream, but also plays cricket.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's super. It's true. I do believe that music does open our spirit and our creativity. And I mean, all the arts do, but I have a special place for music. I really do. I love music.
Don't you think also that there's nothing negative in classical music. I mean, people say, oh, I couldn't go to the opera, but I challenge them. I said, well, I will get you to an opera, and I will get you to one that you will dovetail with and feel. And music makes us cry, it lifts our spirits, it hits somewhere deep down, doesn't it? It's just lovely.
Yes, it does. Well, the Greeks believe that very firmly. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about what you do now. Now you're a writer. You help people with your writing, which I love to do too, but I mean, it's just a phenomenal thing. Was your career something that you just decided on, or you've kind of fell into, or you've worked all your life for? How did you come into living the life you live?
I had warnings from my father, who always said to me, Christel, you always go around the long way from A to Z in a really wiggly pattern instead of going A to Z straight there, because you want to make everyone feel more comfortable, because whatever you find easy. I had a mother who used to say to me, oh, you've got the talents. Your sister and brother, they don't really like to draw, sing, dance, paint, make a noise, create games. I was very creative. And instead of feeling really proud of that, I felt a little bit as though I was overwhelming them, or I was sort of reminding them. I felt guilty, which is crazy. And I think it's taken me an awful long time to allow myself to do what I really love and not worry so much about it, because what I've always done is just taken on any opportunity that's come my way, to be honest, because I've always felt if somebody asked me to do something, then they must have thought I could do it. So I've never been afraid of a challenge. I love a challenge, and I'm facing real challenges now, but they're exciting, what we call terror barrier, that one. And I forced one. But I started with music. I modeled all around the world when I was quite young, for about 15 years. And then I went into business, had a translation agency with the Scandinavian languages. That was too solitary. It was about writing and words, so I loved it, but it was too solitary. And most Scandinavians are bilingual very young, as I was, so they take another language on very easily. So I have seven.
Wow.
Well, I had seven.
Wow.
They're quite rusty now, but I find that if I go to Spain or France or wherever I am, it takes me a few hours or a day or so, and then somewhere in the bowels of my mind and my memory, that language is there.
Right.
Often I'll pick up somebody's accent. So, if somebody's got a lisp, I can be in danger of lisping with them. It's can be really embarrassing. If somebody says to me, oh, and I say, oh, you're back, And I learned Japanese because we had Japanese friends who came to England when we came from Sweden, and they used to train their children an hour a day with their language. And I used to sit in on that, and I learned lots of baby language because they have informal and formal language. And when I was very pregnant with my boys, I went to university back to learn my Japanese. This Japanese woman, she said to me, I'm just going to talk to you in Japanese. And I said, no, don't, because it's so poor, my Japanese. And she said, you will remember. And all the words I had, she laughed and laughed. They were all children's words, like, eat your food, be quiet, sit still, pick me up, I need a hug, can I give you a kiss? They were really baby things.
That's so cute.
So I remembered all those. So I always wrote, and I always composed. And then I started writing for children's books. And then I went into business and I did research. And then I realized that if I was going to write, nobody wants to hear my story particularly, unless it's my grandmother. I wanted to do something that either had a path or a niche or a purpose, either moved people, made them cry, put a chink of light in a difficult situation, change their paradigm, switch their thinking. And so that's why I write.
Very cool. What a fabulous story. Talk a little bit, because I know that you can manifest things in your life. Can you talk a little bit about that manifesting quality?
Well, the biggest thing that I ever manifested was my children, because my sister found out that she was struggling to conceive, and she went for IVF, and I thought, well, I can't conceive before her because she's older than me, And so I better go and get a check. And it turned out that I was first degree infertile. I mean, it was like a piece of glass shattering in a million pieces. I couldn't believe it. But on the other hand, I'd never seen myself pregnant. Everybody else had a big tummy, and everybody else was getting married and having babies, and I was everyone's fairy godmother, and I got to 31 and married quite late. I was looking for a long time, and it took him a long time to find me, one of those. And then 5 years went by, and this lovely man who was the best microsurgeon said to me, I can give you a baby, but I don't know when. he said, I want you to visualize your children. And I said, well, funnily enough, I've been told that I would have 2 sons. And he said, how extraordinary. And I said, yeah, people have always said that. And I feel boys, And he said, well, just visualize them. He said, have you invited them in? And it blew me away. Well, no. And he said, well, I would if I were you, because, you know they're there. You've been told they're there. So he said, go home and think about it. So I went to see him a few times, and he said, Christel, it's not good enough to come up here and check with me if everything is going right, because I didn't want to do IBS straight away. I thought I'd try my own and have him check me. And he said, you can't put your flashes on the car on your way to lunch. This is the gift of life we're dealing with here.
That's cute.
But he said, let me tell you, I am the surgeon. This is my talent, my God-given talent. You are the vessel for the gift of life. You are not responsible. You're to put all your anxieties in a little box with a beautiful ribbon, if you like, on a shelf and forget them. I need you to give me your whole undivided attention. I was walking one day, having had all the treatment, and I thought, the national average then was 7% success in IVF, and his was 18. And I remember this voice saying to me, Christel, why can't you be one of the 18? Why do you have to be one of the 17 that's disappointed? It was like an epiphany. And I thought, I am going to be number 18. I'm going to be that person. So anyway, I got to a few weeks when I need to go and see him. And I said, I know I'm pregnant and I've got 2 boys. And he said, they all looked at me and said, oh no. They looked at each other and said, oh dear, she's a bit the way with the fairies, this one. We have to check your blood. And I said, you can do what you like, but I have conceived these boys. They are there. So anyway, out he came from an operation that he was finishing. And he said to me, how does the pregnant Mrs. Cowdrey feel? And there they were, jumping around, tears, my husband and him. And I was saying, look, I told you, perfect obvious. So we saw these 2 little heartbeats. And he said, the nurse said, we do have twin disappearing syndrome. And I said, look, yeah, you're dealing with a Viking. I'm a Swede. Nothing goes disappearing here. And of course, I think I held myself and I obeyed him. He was helping me. He said to me, just look into my eyes. Know that I am the one doing this. In order for you to be successful, just let it be at my feet. Leave the problem with me. And it was the biggest lesson. And whenever someone comes alongside me in an endeavor that I'm trying or a goal that I feel is cropped up in my life, I know that that's assistance, that's guidance. And the feedback has been my greatest thing to learn. That got me through the fear of not being good enough or not being able to really achieve in case I upset people.
Oh, yes, I do know. I understand
I got 2 babies on my first attempt. My sister did 5 attempts for her first child. Oh. And when it was typical Christel. She gets 2, first attempt. Everyone else has to go 5 times. When I went to the brilliant Bob Proctor, he held my hands and he said, Christel, let us have your words. Just release them. Don't worry. The feedback will be positive. It's not critique, it's feedback.
Right. Just
give out, let everything go. And ever since I've done that, my writing has exploded.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, but you know what it is, Alena? It's collaboration. I can't do it without everybody else. Everybody's input is so vital.
Right, same here.
And I'm so grateful, for their concern, because if they don't understand it, nobody in the world's going to understand it.
Exactly.
So I have to stay teachable all the time. And when I do that, I almost know now that if I look at something, I mustn't look at that thing before I finish the other thing, because otherwise that's going to go whoosh and manifest.
Yes.
It's that easy now.
Wow.
And it's because of support. And it's because of the great family of people like yourself, like-minded people who support success.
Yes.
In others.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the key, to be around the right people.
It's very big to be around people that are supportive. And not only that, but they have a vision themselves. They're doing their own thing. I'm just clarifying for people. And they believe in you as a person. Those are the people you want to have.
There's no competition.
No competition.
You know what? We don't really know how we come across. We think we do. And I think the beauty of social media, for example, and all the phenomena that we live with that have only been around, we've only had the internet since 1996, how dramatically our lives have changed, and for good and bad, but social media reveals people's innermost characters. It does. They think they can be who they want to be. They can't. It's revealing.
No, it is revealing.
You see the essence of people very fast.
I don't know quite what it is, but it's very true. You can watch somebody and tell if they really are authentic, if they really are people that care. It is amazing to me. But yes, I do see that very much. It's a lot of ways it's good.
Yes. I think this thing about becoming like the 5 people we spend most of our time with is a real heads up.
Yes, it is.
It
really is true. When you're on that vibration, if you are doing your studying, you're doing your gratitude, you are really flying high on your own, then you're going to connect no matter where you live.
I think that's true. I think also that the more we look at the divisions and the differences, and the more judgment there is, the greater the diversity, the greater the problem. Ultimately, we are all the same. We're somebody's child. We are the parent of a child, or we're loved by someone, or we're no longer loved by someone, or we are needing to be fulfilled, or we're helping someone fulfill, or, we're all the same at heart. It doesn't matter whether we're being brought up with Confucius or Jesus Christ or anybody. Well, I believe God has no religion anyway, but I just think if we can submit to being teachable and open and not so judgmental, and everyone, there's a big expression in England called, jack of all trades and masters of none.
Yes, we have that too. Yes.
That's such a load of nonsense. Everybody has gifts that can be inspired in them that they don't even know they have. Somebody can walk into your life and say, you are so interesting about that. Didn't you know you were good at that? No, had no clue. Because people want to hang you on a hook. When I speak to women entrepreneurs, my whole thing is we're the same. We're made sad for the same reasons. We laugh for the same things most of the time. We all get hungry. We all get lonely. We all get, And so what we have to do is re-emerge into who we're meant to be. And competing is irrelevant. Everybody is too transfixed on themselves. And we have to survive. I get that. But we have to keep open and learning and sharing our stuff.
We do. And the best things come from collaborating and supporting each other. Because it's a bigger picture. You alone is you alone, but you together, connected with everyone, is mammoth. It's what it's supposed to be.
It's what it's supposed to be. A couple of years ago, I got a call from a German lady, co-author, Ulrike Berzal. She said, Christel, I've been researching a subject for 3 years, and I work in a hospital, and it's about rehabilitation after injury, and I really like the way you write. I was blown away. I didn't really know her. I was so blown away. And she said, I'm going to send you 284 sheets of paper by email. And would you like to make it a book? And I sat here where I'm sitting, oh my words. And I remember saying, if I can connect to what is taken youth all this time and all your focus and your determination and persistence with this subject, if I can connect with it, I'll do it. And we did it.
Wow.
And we did it on Skype at night. It wasn't easy because we were self-publishing and we were both new to self-publishing.
Right.
And it's about the mind and about the subconscious and all those things that are so many brilliant books have been written about. Hundreds and hundreds of year-old books. Everyone says this is new age and this is trending stuff. It's nonsense. There have been thousands of years great men have been writing and great women have been writing.
And isn't it interesting that it is the great men and women? The people who were the achievers, the people who really thought ahead in vision, those are the people who believed and did all of this, feeling so grateful, knowing that you can manifest your dreams, knowing you don't have to stay stuck, knowing you don't have to be like everyone else, being curious. Those are the people that move mountains.
They share it all.
And they share.
They get it all, and then they share it, and they give it away.
Because they know.
Because they know. And this phenomenon, the genius that is the secret, everyone says, oh, it's new. It's not new.
No.
Wallace T. Wattles, The Stranger Secret, all these brilliant books, Science of Getting Rid, all those books that are in the business sections of libraries. They're not in personal self-help only. They're in the business section.
That's right.
They were written by brilliant minds hundreds of years ago, thousands of years these people have been around. But,
isn't that something?
But with Ulrika's being in a hospital, we wrote this book, and it's essentially about the mind and about the subconscious and about visualization and how strong and powerful it is. And it's really exciting because I did the audio, and the book went to bestseller lists really quickly internationally. And it was just mind-blowing.
Yes.
And I think it was a success, or hopefully will continue to be a success. And Bob Proctor, this brilliant 81-year-old man who is fitter than most of us, okay? Fit as a flea. I mean, he's, talk about trying to emulate his energy.
I know.
But anyway, and he did a fantastic forward for us. And this book has a path. So because it has a purpose, it's gone to the military, people injured after military exercises or in war. It's gone to people in paralysis. It's gone to the Parkinson's Society and the local doctor surgeries. And it's exciting.
It is exciting.
It's bigger than any of us. Its purpose is its own. Bob Proctor said the question isn't, can the mind help to heal the body? This has been answered beyond the shadow of a doubt by countless people, many of whom you'll read about in this book. The question is, when will you begin to direct your extraordinary thought power toward the critical end of creating and maintaining vibrant health and well-being?
And that's it right there.
Yeah.
Directing our thought.
Directing our thought, writing it down. If you want a man with big feet and small ears, you have to write it down. Watch out for what you want, because I can tell you it's around the corner.
It is around the corner. It's all there. I think that, we talk about getting all that negativity out of your mind, and people think, oh, it's all this positive stuff. It's not just positive stuff. What you're doing is you're clearing out all the garbage so that you can get a clear vision. You're on the vibration, and you know it's possible. You're on the same wavelength as the dreams you want to make happen. And if you're bothered by all that crap, that negativity, that getting upset in the morning news, getting all involved in all this, oh my gosh, there's so much going on now that's just, not all good. There's a lot of good and sympathy, but there's a lot of people just getting upset and wanting to put up all this, just negativity flying everywhere. If you can let go of it.
There's often something happens. When I was growing up in Sweden, my mother would put us on our knees in the morning, and she would plait our hair, and we'd have a ribbon in it, and we had flat, sensible shoes. I can tell you, I was not groovy. I was really not cool. And so I'd smuggle in my little shoes with a heel and things like that, and let out the plait as soon as I got to school and pressed my hair out. But my whole paradigm was that I didn't fit. I had an accent. I wasn't cliquey. I didn't get all that stuff. So I spent my whole time learning about people and trying my hardest to work out how I could not stand out, And I remember there was a family of girls, and they were sisters, and they were rough as old Harry. They were really rough.
How old were you again?
I guess 10, 11, 12, 13, about that. But you know what happened? Many years later, to say, I was in London, and I went into a chemist, and it was the days I still had time to look at lipsticks, I don't look at lipsticks. But I was looking at this lipstick colors, and I could feel this person looking at me. And do you know what? I didn't even need to raise my head. I just put the lipstick back, and I left the shop. And I walked as fast as I could carry myself without running along the street, away from this chemist. To my horror, there was a pounding and a calling, Christel, stop, behind me. And it was the eldest sister of this family. And she came up to me and touched me, and I recoiled. That's how long ago. It was 10 years, 12 years. I recoiled. And
Sure.
she said, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. She said, I just want to talk to you. And I said, oh, no, that's fine. How are you? And she said, well, she said, we were so terrible. And I said, nothing. And she said, we were so terrible. And, we've talked about it, all of us, and we were just so horrible. And you were just right in our line of fire. And you were so different, and you were so vulnerable. You didn't know what the hell we were doing. It was terrible of us. We were so miserable. My father was an alcoholic. He beat my mother. He beat us. We had no money. And you would walk in with your flat little polished shoes and your hair in a plait sort of thing. And you were Swedish. And I said, oh, no, I understand. She said, no, you don't understand. And I said, no, I do. And she said, well, I just need to ask you something. And I said, sure. And I was still I wasn't abrasive, but I was slightly blown away.
Right.
And she said, will you please forgive me? I said, nothing. I couldn't speak. And she said, would you please forgive us all? And she took me by the arms and she said, please consider it. And I said, no, I have forgiven you. I absolutely forgive you. Now, I learned when I was a child that it wasn't enough to say sorry. What you had to say was, please forgive me. Because when you say, please forgive me, you acknowledge what you've done.
Yes,
you're not just saying, oh, sorry, I was in a bad mood, or sorry. It's too flippant and glib. Sorry is not good enough. If you've damaged somebody by your words or your actions, you have to ask them for forgiveness. And that takes a huge amount of courage. I mean, this woman was exuding courage.
Yeah.
And I was standing there spellbound, and I started to cry, and she started to cry. I hadn't seen her for 12 years or something. And I said, it's fine. It's really fine. And I gave her a big hug.
Wow.
And I realized then that her issues were nothing to do with me.
No.
She didn't mean to hurt me.
No.
In my marriage, my husband didn't mean to hurt me.
No.
He's a lovely guy. He's a really special person. But it's not about us all the time.
Right.
It's about other people's challenges. And it made me realize that we're the same. That was what really. And then a very funny story. I went away on my own just at the end of the divorce to Cowdrey. And I was meant to be having dinner with the owner of the hotel, who's a very charming Italian, third generation, but married. He was very correct. But he said, my dear, you are on your own every night. I must give you a little glass of Prosecco and you have dinner.
Oh.
So I was waiting all dressed up. And he rang and said, I'm on a terrible phone call. I'm so sorry. Can we reconvene? I said, of course. And this woman had been there, and she was very plain. And she was dressed in a sort of anorak. She said she was from Scotland, and she came up to me, she said, I've been looking at you. And she said, would you have dinner with me? Because I've listened, and you're not having dinner with him now, are you? And I said, of course I will. So we walked into the restaurant, and honestly, I was quite glammed up. And she was unglammed up, not a stitch of makeup. And we must have looked like Duck and Dodge walking into that restaurant. Anyway, she had this really big voice. And she said, the thing is, she said, I started internet dating. She said, I looked after my parents. My parents have died. I've inherited their house. And I'm a cleaner. And I clean at night because I'm not attractive. I don't see anybody. Honestly. And she said to me, the thing is, she said, with her Scottish accent, she said, I'm still a virgin. And the whole restaurant heard her. It was hysterical. And nobody could help themselves. And because she laughed, and this beautiful face broke open in a smile. I mean, she was beautiful. And she just laughed and laughed. And she said, everybody in the whole place knows about it now, she said. And I said, well, that's great. I've never met a virgin before. I said, not for many years, I don't think, And so we had a great evening. And she said, what can I do to stop being a virgin? And I said, well, first of all, you need to get your hair done. You need to defuzz. You need to do your eyebrows. You need to go and love yourself.
Yes.
And, and she'd met this man on the internet, and she'd gone to see him without telling him. And when she arrived at his door, he just handed her the keys and said, tell me when you've left. So she said, because I'm a cleaner, I cleaned his house. And she was just wonderful. Do you know that? She was just an angelic personality.
Oh,
And
how
it
sad,
was
though.
such a privilege. I
Yes.
spent a lot of time with her. She was hugely intelligent. She just didn't know how to communicate. She had elderly parents who had dementia. She never saw anybody except them.
Oh, wow.
And it made me realize at the end of the day, were we very different? Yes, our experiences were different, but did we have the same sense of humor? Could we laugh about things? And I told that story to a group of 90 women. And I said, anyone in the room met a virgin in the last 20 years and put the hand up. And not one, not one hand up. I always had a joke about it, you know. And
Yeah, of course.
she wasn't ashamed. She just said, I've given all my time to my parents.
Wow.
Didn't finish school because of her parents.
Oh, my. Well, but now she can start living, you know?
She's living, and she's an amazing person.
She
And
sounds amazing.
I guarantee she will have so much to give
Yes.
from that experience.
Yes, she will.
And she will be beautiful.
And she,
Because she said, I want to be beautiful, and I don't know where to start. I said, well, you are beautiful. I know it sounds corny, but she was inside. She was just a light, alive.
well, that's what it is. And that's what makes beauty. I'm serious. It's that light. It's that light. And when we let it out, it does. It creates beauty. I say that all the time. Yeah.
And inside that, everything's from within, right?
Everything is from within. You can have the so-called most beautiful woman, and then you can have one who might not be so beautiful, but you give the one, if the one who is not so what you would call beautiful has that light just shining, it makes them glow. I had this morning, someone said to me, she said, your skin is so beautiful. You always glow. Your skin is glowing. And I looked at her, I said, my darling, my light is shining. I said, your light's shining too. It's from inside, and it shows. It's so evident in us. Oh, Christel, this has been a fabulous interview. I mean, really, you have given the listeners, I hope they've enjoyed it as much as I have. You just are filled with awesome stories that give so much insight. And it's a privilege to have you on here. Do you have, a website, something that people can get hold of you? And
Well, I'd love to share my book.
Yes.
Because everybody should tap into their ability to visualize. You know, there are children reading it. Because chapters are short, there's quite a lot of momentum. So it's quite easy to read. Deliberately short chapters, trying to take a lot of information. There's a lot of information in it. In a very straightforward way. It's not a pretentious
That's what I did.
book.
Yes, that's exactly what I did too. Yes.
So I'd love to leave the link with you.
Oh, do.
Yeah, and I want to have a website like yours, Alena.
I saw
I love your website.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And everyone, this has been such a fun interview and just full of so many insightful and concepts that you can grab. This visualization is very big. Athletes do it all the time on their performance. When I was singing professionally, I used to do it. There were times when I was sick before a performance for 2 or 3 weeks. I remember that. Couldn't sing a note. And I would just sit in my bed and visualize how I would open my mouth, how that sound would be produced, what kind of inflection I want to give this word or paint it. Visualization is very real for people who do physical things. And you can make your dreams come true. You really can. Yeah.
I remember going up and standing up and singing just after 13 years of not singing, live. And because I was a recording artist in the 80s, and this brilliant man called John Altman, who's a composer, and he did the arrangements for the Titanic movie. I mean, he's just, overwhelmingly gifted. He said to me, how are you doing then, as I was about to start singing? And I said, well, my mouth's a little dry, and I'm actually a little nervous and can't quite catch my breath. And he said, poor darling. He said, guess what? It's not about you. It's about them. And it was like a smack. And that taught me so much,
Yeah.
He said, you're a cog in the wheel.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I did sing. I stopped thinking about myself because he was right.
He is right. It is about them. Yeah. Get out of yourself. There's another one.
Get over your ego. Exactly.
Get out of yourself. Yeah, that's very true. Stop worrying so much. Just do. Yeah, it's very true. If you would like to learn more, you can go to AlenaChapmanLife.com. Okay, and it's all lowercase, and that's my website. Guys, leave comments, ask questions. This is an awesome show to ask questions. There are so many different insights and so many different concepts. You've got to have questions, and I would love to be able to help you in any way I can. Everything I do is to try to help you live a better, happier, balanced, fulfilled life. So, have an awesome day. Make it an awesome day. And do some visualization. Take care now. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Live and Love Life with Alena Chapman. For more information on the show, its guests, or to contact Alena, please visit alenachapmanlife.com. Have an awesome day, and we remind you to live and love life.